Basketball fans, what's going on? Welcome into today's live mailbag here on Chat Sports. And if you were like, Jimmy, how do I get on the next live mailbag? Tune into our live shows every Friday afternoon and use hashtag NBA to get your questions answered on screen. And we're going to start off with our first question of the day. Steven asks, do you think the Lakers can get a third star? Steven, and Laker fans in general, you don't really need a third star nowadays. Yes, there was the Big Three era when it was KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. We know about those Big Threes. But now, you got your Big Two, and you got solid role players around them. I think it would be stupid of them, in all honesty, to just throw away guys like Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell after 1 year and go out and chase one of these bigger stars like Rudy Gobert and suffer all that depth. Because we know that the Lakers' biggest problem this year was their depth off the bench, and now they have that question answered. That would be taken away with a third star. So, can they get a third star? Absolutely. The Lakers can do anything at this point, I'm convinced. Will they or should they? I don't think so. I think they should roll with what they've got. Nathan Coyle coming in with a question says, which team has a better record, the Wizards or the Rockets? Ooh, that's a good question. Now, of course, the Wizards and the Rockets just swapped point guards, as we just saw John Wall going to H-Town and Russell Westbrook going to D.C. Also, that first-round pick going to the Rockets as well. We'll break down that trade a little bit more here later. You know, it all depends on health for the Rockets. Let's say John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins are 100% healthy. I'm going to pick the Rockets because they have the best player, one of the best players in the NBA, a top 5 player in James Harden. But the Wizards don't. However, I don't think the Rockets are going to be that healthy. So I'm going to pick the Wizards to have a slightly better record next year if the Rockets are not healthy. That starting 5 of Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Rui Hachimura, Davis Bertans, and Thomas Bryant, if they get another legitimate big man and then add in Deni Avdija, I like that Wizards lineup quite a bit. Colin Kelly coming in with a question says, which Maverick do you think will take the biggest step forward? Good question. If you want more Mavs coverage, this link right down here, youtube.com/allthingsmavs has got you covered on all things Dallas Mavericks. And my pick for this question has got to be Jalen Brunson, because I think he was starting to take that next step before the season got really put on delay, or actually it was before his injury, which happened before the season was delayed, and then he couldn't return to the NBA bubble. Remember, the last 15 games before he tore his labrum, he had 7 double-digit scoring games, and 5 of those 7 were 15 or more points. He's a great facilitator. He can run the offense while Luka Doncic is off the floor, and we have seen him be able to play alongside other scoring guards, where you could see Jalen Brunson and guys like Trey Burke or Tyrell Terry play together in the same system. So if the Mavs want to kind of take that next step, I don't know if he's that vital to their success, but if he takes the next step himself, this Mavs team will improve as well off the bench. And he's just another good young piece around the young core of Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. So what do you guys think? Are the Mavs going to win a title with Luka and Kristaps Porzingis at the helm of that team? Type Y if you think yes, or type N if you think no. And, assuming everyone is healthy, and that's a big if with Kristaps Porzingis, I'm going to type my Y for yes. In fact, I'll go as far to say that team could win multiple NBA titles with Luka and KP being the top 2 guys. And if you want a Luka Doncic jersey, or if you want any kind of jersey from any team, go to chatsports.com/NBA City, where all the newest City Edition jerseys and gear is available today. Whatever team you want to rep, or whatever, whether it's a jersey or some of these other awesome accessories like this Boston Celtics throwback jacket, or maybe this Oakland Warriors City Edition backpack, or maybe you want a Los Angeles Lakers blue hat. Honestly, this is such a cool hat. I had to put it in the show because I'm a big fan. But the stuff you're seeing on screen isn't the only stuff available at this link. There is stuff for every single team. Whoever you're a fan of, you can go get them today at chatsports.com/NBA City. I already know what's going on my Christmas list, and it's everything that you'll find at this link. One more time, chatsports.com/NBA City. That's the place to go for all your City Edition gear. Gia coming in with a question says, should the Celtics sign Isaiah Thomas? Listen, first of all, the Celtics have a full roster. They do not have room for Isaiah Thomas as far as I'm concerned. Now, they could always cut a player. There are players that, in all honesty, maybe Isaiah Thomas is better than a guy like Javonte Green, but I wouldn't take that risk at this point. Isaiah Thomas hasn't been healthy for a while, and he's always been that guy that says, oh, well, I'm back 100%. This year it's going to be different. It hasn't been different since he left Boston, and that coming home story would be cool, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it's worth it. And I know Kemba Walker is going to be down for a little bit, and he's going to miss some time. But Isaiah Thomas, I just don't think he's the answer of today's NBA. He's too small, and he cannot stay healthy at this point. I'd like to see him back in Boston if he goes anywhere. Wherever he goes, I'll be cheering for him. I think everyone will be. But if I'm a team in contention, sorry, Gia, I am not going to sign Isaiah Thomas. I just don't believe in him anymore. Legendary Warrior says, what do you think? Wow, sorry, you tripped me up there, Legendary. What do you think about the Rockets getting John Wall? This trade also means John Wall and Boogie Cousins are reunited again since Kentucky. Listen, I hope John Wall is healthy because I think he's one of the most fun point guards to watch when he is. But let's be honest. This guy hasn't played basketball in 750 days. I know they said he looked good in pickup. That's pickup. I can look good in pickup at times. Now, obviously, not comparing myself to John Wall, but I'm just saying you can't base everything off that. So until we get him in a real game, I don't know. Also, if your success depends on two injury-prone guys in John Wall and Boogie Cousins, you're in a lot of trouble. I think it's going to be a cool story, and I hope they're both healthy and we can see them both work out well, but I'm not 100% convinced that these guys are going to be the keys to success for the Houston Rockets. Gia says, will Bronny James be the #1 pick in the 2023 NBA draft? So the thing about the 2023 NBA draft and Bronny James is that Bronny is not eligible to enter the draft under current NBA rules. Now, if they change the rule and they say, hey, you can go straight from high school to the NBA, yeah, he probably would be a top pick. But, you know, it's interesting. I know he's LeBron James' kid, but he's not that highly recruited right now. Like, if you look at recruiting boards, yeah, he's top 25, but he's not top 5. And maybe he's not as good as his father, but nobody's ever going to be as good as his father again for at least a long, long time. So I don't think he'll be a #1 pick, but I do think he'll probably be a first-round pick at some point. I just don't know if it's going to be 2023 with the current NBA rules. Sports Season says, Warriors and Harden trade. Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick. So the problem is the Houston Rockets are actually trying to win right now. And if you trade for Oubre and Wiggins in a first-round pick, that sets you back from James Harden right now. It just does. Like, I know probably that first-rounder is more valuable down the road, but right now it just doesn't do it. Now, would the Warriors say yes to this? I hope they would. In fact, if you're going to trade for James Harden, it's going to have to include multiple first-round picks. I think the two players, actually, that's not a bad haul when it comes to players. It's just not enough draft picks. And they might even demand a guy like Nico Mannion as well. So I think Houston says no to this one. But if you want more Warriors coverage from me, youtube.com/WarriorsTV, that link you see at the bottom in yellow, that's the place to go. Sam B says, who makes up for Kemba Walker missing the first month of the season? So as I mentioned with the Isaiah Thomas stuff, yeah, Kemba's going to be down for at least a month or at least, the first couple weeks into January. So we'll have to wait and see when he returns. But they do have a lot of guards under contract right now. Marcus Smart will get a bulk of those minutes, and he is a really good ball handler when he needs to be. Obviously, you'd rather have somebody next to him, but he can play that point guard position when it's time. And they went out and they got Jeff Teague, who's, he's not in his prime anymore, but he can run an offense when he needs to. I'm still a big believer in Carson Edwards, but it sounds like Danny Ainge is actually a bigger believer in Peyton Pritchard than either Carson Edwards or two-way player Tremont Waters, who I know a lot of Celtic fans want to see. So I think it'll be a three-man combination of Teague, Smart, and Pritchard kind of running that offense. But I want to see Carson Edwards get some run in Boston. I think he's got a real shot to be a quality six-man. So if you want more Boston Celtics coverage from me, youtube.com/CelticsTV. That's the best place to go because we are the fastest growing Celtics channel on YouTube today. So check out this link. You can see it in green as I run my finger across it. youtube.com/CelticsTV. If you're a Boston Celtics fan, you got to be subscribed. If you're an NBA fan in general, it's a great place to be. Go subscribe to all of our team-specific channels. Lil Frog says, are the Pacers ready to rebuild? I don't know because what you got right now with the Pacers is a good team that's going to be in the playoffs and make a playoff push. They're not going to make a championship run, though, the way they're currently constructed. And unless they do decide to rebuild, I don't know when that championship run is going to come for them. So I say yes, go ahead and sell Miles Turner, sell Victor Oladipo. Maybe you hold on to Sabonis as a building block, but sell what you can, get the draft picks, and then hit that reset button if I'm the Indiana Pacers. Let's go to Trenton Biddle. Trenton Biddle says, will the Nets make it to the finals? I'm not ready to put the Nets in the finals yet. I haven't seen how healthy they are. That is a decision based purely on speculation and health. Obviously, I can see you're a KD fan with that KD avatar up top, but unless they are 100% healthy, which they're not going to be, that's just the fact of the matter, you can't say they're an NBA Finals team. They're not better than teams like the Miami Heat or the Milwaukee Bucks right now. Are they top 3 in the East? I think so. Are they number 1? Probably not yet, but we'll just have to wait and see when the season actually rolls around. Now, I want to make sure you have subscribed to Chat Sports at youtube.com/chatsportstv because that is the best place to be for all NBA coverage during the offseason and the regular season, which is right around the corner. You see this link right below me at youtube.com/chatsportstv. We're growing like crazy, trying to hit 225,000 subscribers. So if you're watching live with us right now, scroll on down, hit the big red button. That link's in the comments, the live chat, and the description. If you're watching with us later, this link, that'll take you there. Ezra Valdez says, Buddy Hield to the Mavs, sign me up from the Dallas Mavericks. Now, I just don't know what the Dallas Mavericks are actually going to trade at this point because, look, you dumped DeLon Wright, you dumped Justin Jackson as well, and now your trade chips are a little sparse. Now, of course, you have guys like Jalen Brunson that you could offer up, but you probably have to offer up a James Johnson contract and a pick. I don't know if the Mavs have the assets to actually pull off a Buddy Hield trade, and I'm not convinced the Kings actually want to trade him. I know Buddy wants out at this point, and I think he'd be a perfect fit in Dallas. In fact, I think he'd be a Ray Allen type when it comes to shooting, at least, in Dallas, but I just don't know if the Mavs actually have the assets to pull this off. But, you know, if the Kings want to sell him for cheap, I'll buy him real low. So I'm kind of in on it. BB says, who do you think will be the third best player this season from the 2018 draft? Oh, the 2018 draft. Wow. I'm trying to think exactly who's in that draft now. It's Luka Doncic is in that one. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton. You got Trae Young, of course, as well. I'm looking at the list as I speak. That's why you got me looking over here. Third best, I mean, I think second best is Trae Young behind Luka Doncic. I think that's just reasonable. I think the third best, you could make a couple arguments here. Maybe Jaren Jackson Jr. if he's healthy, but DeAndre Ayton is kind of getting overlooked, and I think playing with a point guard like Chris Paul, that's probably the best way to go. I would lean DeAndre Ayton. I want to see Marvin Bagley get healthy, but I'm not convinced Marvin Bagley is going to be the second overall pick he was destined to be, or was actually at that point. So I'm going to lean DeAndre Ayton, but I also think Jaren Jackson Jr. has a good chance to be that third best player as well.